All right, we're live. So, we're going to do another tier list. This time, we're going to do one that actually might be a little bit difficult to figure out, but we're going to see what happens. And do all of the Lord of the Rings movies and the 2 seasons. Well, really only the 1 season, because I know none of us have seen the 2nd season of Rings of Power. And we're going to see what kind of conversations open up, and maybe we can pull up a couple scenes here and there. But yeah, let's... what order should we do, actually? I didn't even ask you guys. This is
order, or do you want to do reverse?
Well, I'm trying to think of what would be the best content, because we can talk the most about these probably. You could do random.
Alphabetical. We could do random.
All right, random.
Yeah, randomize.
All right. 2 Towers. Number 1.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Strong.
Yeah, start with a bang.
I feel like it's S tier.
Yeah, I think objectively it is. One thing we were talking about in terms of rules is that we can only have one of the original trilogy in S tier.
I think we should try to do.
Should we put it in there?
You can't do one per letter.
Because I
think
it's S tier. Yeah.
Hell's Deep is one of the best action scenes of all time.
And the Ents too. The Ents and Isengard are great.
Yeah.
And I just like the way this movie progresses. I know we've talked about that before off this video, where I just think it's the dark sequel. It's like the middle dark sequel, like Empire Strikes Back. It doesn't really have an ending. It's kind of like what's the other one that I like? Oh, The Dark Knight. You know, it kind of has that like cliffhanger ending, which I always kind of like for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think you have like there's lots of, and not that action is the most important thing, but you not only have this Isengard and Hell's Deep, you also have the fight with the Balrog.
Yeah,
it's really sick.
Yeah.
And then
the movie
go ahead,
the movie
Josh.
paces so well. It's for a film. If on paper you said, "Here's a film that's going to be following like 4 different groups: Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, the 3 heroes who are chasing Merry and Pippin, who become their own group with Treebeard."
Got the Rohirrim.
Well, that's like,
and then you introduce Gollum. And you introduce Faramir. You introduce in the extended edition Faramir's dad. You introduce all the people at Rohan.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you got 3 groups of the main characters, and each of those groups is going to introduce some other pretty significant characters.
Treebeard.
That have to carry their own weight and have to add to the story. You would say that's a really big undertaking, but it does a really good job. And what's interesting about it is the Fellowship of the Ring. It's all about getting the ring to Mordor to destroy the ring. And at the end of Fellowship, the Fellowship of course breaks up, and you're kind of left wondering, well, oh my gosh, like how? Okay, so the mission's still the mission, but now we went from 9 to 2 who are trying to complete that mission, and the other ones are just trying to stay alive. Well, then in the 2 Towers, you have the Fellowship, you have Frodo and Sam with Gollum trying to get to Mordor, but you realize the War for the Ring is so much bigger than just the Fellowship, and so you have to. It's this really interesting balance of the ring has to keep getting to where it needs to go, but the allies elsewhere have to do their bit to make sure that they're able to do. Frodo and Sam are able to do that bit. It just does it so well. Because you were talking about the end. Isengard's destroyed, Helm's Deep is defended, and all of that. But then there's that great scene where the riders ride up on the hill, and they're looking across in the distance, and you see Mount Doom just exploding because Sauron's mad, and he's like, "All right, my plan's got to get accelerated," and you're just brought back down like. Oh yeah,
well, and you know Gollum is going to Gollum introduces, you don't know who it is obviously, but Sheila, but he introduces that, so you know Gollum switches back to evil. You know the War of the Ring has just begun, is what they say, and then or the Battle for Middle Earth is about to begin, whatever he says in that line. So there's like kind of these cliffhangers, and then there was another cliffhanger I was just thinking of. Oh, it does have that shred of hope, but it's almost hopeless. So the narrative of the story keeps getting more and more hopeless, and then they address it when Frodo's talking to Sam and just basically says, hey, there's no hope, there's nothing we can even hold on to, and then Sam brings it back to hopeful by saying there's good in the world and it's worth fighting for. So it does have that hope swing up at the end where it does have some hope, but the whole movie is sort of ending in this like, what are we even going to do? Are we even going to be able to do this kind of thing? Which I really like that. I think I've talked about that before too, that I really like that ending Sam monologue scene. It's very Peter Jackson-ish, that like him talking over things happening. He like starts talking to Frodo and then his voice kind of turns into a narrator voice, and it shows all the Uruk-hais and stuff like running into the trees and everything. And just like a really solid ending. I was going to say something else about it though. One thing about Two Towers that I always loved and was actually it's grown on me, but slightly disappointed me in Return of the King, is the Uruk-hai are so damn cool that when they went to the orcs with like the red kind of cloth and like the scattered up armor, I never quite liked the Mordor deformed orcs as much as the Uruk-hai. Because their armor, their swords, they're like big and the Helm's Deep with the rain, everything about it is such a great battle sequence.
Everything about Helm's Deep is so
love
incredible.
it so much. I love, especially as a kid when I saw it, Helm's Deep is just the best. What a great battle. And the ladders and everything. Yeah. Helm's Deep, yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Helms, yeah.
S tier. Awesome. Is there anything we can critique about this film that, like, if we were going to judge it later, that would move it? Because we all know this is the case, right?
Yeah,
they all are great films. We love them all. They're all great. But is there something that, if we were going to make an argument for moving it down a little bit?
I think anything. Oh, go ahead, man.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, if anything, it's kind of like you said, there's no ending. I think when you have a cliffhanger, it kind of makes the movie feel incomplete. And the movie, in Lord of the Rings, is kind of a special case.
Fellowship is also similar to that, also, just along those lines.
Say what?
Well, Fellowship is also along those lines because it doesn't have an ending either.
I guess they both are. I guess it doesn't really apply here. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, it doesn't really have an ending, so it does kind of feel incomplete. But that's just part of being in a trilogy, I guess. And this is not like it was a sequel. This is always made to be 3 movies. I don't know. I don't think so, really.
I heard an argument that the Aragorn going off of the cliff and maybe dying doesn't need to be in the movie at all.
Sure, that's a little cheap.
Like it's sort of like, oh, we need to. Yeah, and you know how like Two Towers, the book goes way further. Like a lot of Return of the King is actually in Two Towers, like all of Shelob and stuff like that. And so, I guess the argument was that there's filler in the movie because they cut Two Towers book short. I've never quite made up my mind on that.
I've heard that before. I think it's mainly just because the end of Two Towers isn't really like climactic, like in the book. Whereas in the movie, you want to end on the big battles because that's how movies work.
Because Two Towers ends where Frodo gets it's kind of his cliffhanger actually, but it's like where Frodo is wrapped up in Shelob's web and the orcs take him away. Doesn't it end there?
So we gotta right now. Yeah. So the books. Each book has 2 parts, and after Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King, the parts are divided essentially between Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, and Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, Merry, Pippin, and all the rest in the other part.
Isn't Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas the first part of the book?
I think so.
Because I remember listening to part. So I never read the book. Just to clarify a few things, I never read the book. I did listen to the book on audio cassette a long time ago, but I didn't finish it. And I remember going through the Treebeard stuff and being like, wow, this is forever. They literally put all Treebeard stuff in here. Merry and Pippin are falling asleep and like it's all in the book. So I remember that, and I remember Aragorn and Gimli and Legolas, but I don't remember ever getting to Frodo. So I'm assuming that's the beginning. It's the first part, right?
So Frodo, the Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli Two Towers stuff ends with Gandalf throwing Pippin onto Shadowfax and writing for Gondor because Pippin grabbed the Palantir, saw Sauron's vision, and
Return of the King, the movie,
which is in Return of the King, the movie, and then Two Towers ends with Frodo getting stabbed by Shelob, Sam fighting Shelob, and then Frodo getting carried into Cirith Ungol, and Sam being like, "Oh, great! Now I got to go save my master. Like, this is great."
Right.
and that's it, which is nuts to think about how much of that is in the Return of the King film.
Also, if you think of sorry to cut you off, I think I see where you're going, but like, can you imagine like writing that script and being like, wow, we could end Two Towers on such a big cliffhanger, kind of like Hobbit 2, where Hobbit 2 ends with Smaug flying and he's about to blow up the village and it all turns to black and it's like this really hopeless ending. It's like Two Towers could have ended like that, like Frodo getting carried away and it's like music, building, cut to black, it's over. And they chose to not do that. It's just kind of observation. Was there more you were saying? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I was going to say that was all I was going to say about that. To your original question, I think the Aragorn piece that you brought up was a good critique. The story critique, which is like, well, they've moved a lot of stuff in and out of Two Towers into Return of the King. I mean, I guess. I think the critique I might have is that it can be a bit jarring sometimes to jump between three different groups. So you're following Sam and Frodo. You find Gollum and they're running to go get the thing, and then it cuts to Merry and Pippin. You kind of have to reorient yourself, and then it cuts back to Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, and then it cuts to Rohan, and then it cuts to Helm's Deep, and then it cuts to Fangorn. And so there is an argument maybe to be made that it can kind of take you out of it a little bit, where you're really getting into the Battle of Helm's Deep, and then it cuts to, and Treebeard is, we just finished saying good morning, and it's like, oh my god,
right in the middle of Helm's Deep. Yeah,
right. But I think the argument for that is you then, the audience, are in Merry and Pippin's shoes, where you're like, oh, come on, like there's like all this stuff is going on, and you guys are just saying good morning and it's nighttime already. Like, that's nuts. So I don't think it's a great argument, but it's an argument that can be had.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I speak for all three of us here that it's like, it's hard to critique it because I like it so much, and I can't think of things that are not that great. Maybe I can make an argument. I'd have to think about this, and I'd have to like work hard to make this argument that Gandalf coming back and fighting the Balrog on a snowy mountain is like this is very hard to understand in the movie. Where you're like, wait, they were falling into a cave. Now they're in the snow. Wait, now he's back. Wait, why did he come back? Wait, is there a god in this? It's a little like I never cared. Like I said, I have to work to make this argument, but I think there could be an argument there.
I think the fact that we have to like try to figure out how to make an argument that's not that great makes it S tier.
I know, but we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to, because I don't know if I said this yet for the people watching us. We're potentially gonna try and only put one film in S tier and make kind of this shape, where we have to push films down. So we're going to have to argue between the three really good films, and that's going to be difficult, but that's going to be coming closer.
Check out the next one and see what we got. I can't tell what it is.
Season 1 of Rings of Power. I don't know as much as I would love to that I can put in a Sarlacc pit, but I almost think I don't know. Maybe I could.
Hey, here's the thing about Rings of Power. Personally, my take is there's some good stuff. There's good stuff in most movies and TV shows. It looks great. The acting isn't the problem. The dwarf stuff is kind of cool. The orcs with like the cloth and like the white skin are pretty sick.
Yeah, they're kind of cool. I like the way those, and like the crazy eyes that they have. I like that visually.
I just can't stand the dialogue. Everything sounds like they're trying to sound like Tolkien, but they're sounding like they're like, oh, every wolf curls up before the flame, or like the stupid.
I know it's
I'm trying not to say retarded as often as I have been. But the most retarded thing ever at the beginning of the show, they're showing Galadriel playing with boats with her friends, and they're making fun of her boat, and her brother goes, something like this but this is the exact essence of it. He's like, you know why a rock floats and a rock sinks and a boat floats? Because a rock looks down, but a ship looks up with hope. Like, what does that even mean? That's actually retarded. The whole show is just them trying to be deep, but they're not. And I think it's Sarlacc pit. It's been digested in the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. So this, I'm going to show you guys something. Let's see how this works. So these orcs, oops, I like this. I think these look sweet, like with the hood.
They do look cool.
And like the jaggedy helmet and the eyes. Like this looks very much like a new, like, oh, this is Lord of the Rings. This feels like Lord of the Rings again. So I like this. It's funny how low of a bar I'm setting. I'm like, well, I like the way this orc looks. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Arguably,
don't look too clean.
Yeah, a lot of the armor looks terrible. I remember when we talked about this before. The old, what is the Gondor place called?
The Numenorian armor looks like it was 3D printed.
Let's see.
It does not look good.
It looks lame.
Yeah, look at. Oh boy, here we go. Look at now we're going down this road. Like, look at that. Looks like it's made out of plastic.
Looks like a Halloween costume.
Hey, wait! This is literally a meme of the clip. I don't remember if you guys remember. We made a clip where we were like, "There's no way the film costs $1 billion and it looks like this." It's literally the meme right here. Yeah, it just looks like this doesn't. I don't know how to describe it. It just is like.
So I'm gonna go for strengths for a minute.
Okay.
So I thought that a number of the main characters, I thought they did reasonably well, casting wise. I can live with Galadriel being cast Welsh. The actress does a fine job. Durin's good. Elrond is tricky. How do you replace Hugo Weaving? Like that's hard, but
not their fault.
The actor does a fairly decent job. I thought they nailed Elendil on the right in that photo. I thought they nailed him.
Like the way that he looks.
Yeah, they nailed the way he looks. They nailed the actor nailed the performance. Like when you see him act, you think of Aragorn and you think that's his ancestor. That works. Isildur, I guess when you think about like, okay, he's going to eventually take the ring and he's kind of, a spineless, runs away. Like, okay, maybe, I guess. But Elendil, they nailed. He's a minor character or not really a super important character.
You're talking about the way they look or the way that they act or
both. So like Lord of the Rings, you cast Sean Bean as Boromir, and then you cast John Noble as Denethor, his father, and David Wenham Faramir, his brother, and you look at all three of them and you're like, oh yeah, they're related. Like they're related. And then you look at the way they act and you say, oh yeah, like that's a family unit.
Sure.
Like the chemistry they have on screen and then their individual act characters in their different scenes, you're like, yeah, I can see how the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Elendil has that. The actor they got to play Elendil has that with Viggo Mortensen in the Lord of the Rings, where you're like, okay, yeah, like this fits. Isildur is a little hard, but that's fine.
He's kind of cliche. I always thought it was kind of cliche to have him be like, I don't know. He looks.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I guess like incel-ish kind of. Like he just has that kind of character look to him where it's like, oh, of course. And Isildur, the one who fails, he looks kind of like just weak. He just looks weak. Which I don't. It's almost too poetic. I don't know why I don't like that. Kind of makes sense, but it's like, of course, he looks weak, right? It's like Mouth of Sauron or Mouth of Sauron, where they had like his lips like splitting open because his speech is so evil. It's like a really kind of creative idea. With this, it's like, oh, what is Isildur? Oh, he's weak. How should we make him look? Oh, weak. There we go. It just seems really like, well, duh. It's like
kind of a bummer to make him weak the whole time because it's not like. It's not like he's a bad person when he gets. Well, it's not like he's a bad person when he gets there. Like he gets corrupted by the ring, making him weak. Oh, I might have talked over you, but you said like it's less intriguing. If he's strong and he gets taken over by the ring, that's way cooler. If he's always it's kind of too obvious.
It's more dramatic and it's more. So okay, jump over to the negatives really quick. The problem with Rings of Power from a Lord of the Rings nerd fan like me is that they don't have the rights to the Silmarillion. So they have to make a lot of stuff up.
Yeah.
So there's as a Tolkien nerd, there is a lot of like, that's not a thing, or that's not a thing, or that's not a very good representation, or that's different in the lore, and so when I watched the first season, I really tried to distance myself from my own nerdom to try to get at what they were trying to put across, and it was impossible. Like at a certain point, it was just impossible. It was just like I can't not think about Isildur as a hero in in Tolkien's lore until he gets corrupted by the ring, and then it all goes downhill from there. Which is why
wouldn't it be kind of interesting? Sorry to interrupt, but I want to make this point. Like, wouldn't it be kind of interesting to have Isildur be more like Aragorn? Like he was like, Aragorn's kind of like the perfect hero of the films and stuff like that. He just kind of does everything right. Even so anyway, so you have someone like him all the way up to then the ring, and then he fails and he drops the ball, and everyone loses. I'm not saying that they should have done that or it would have been better. It actually sounds like that's maybe more the way the book was. But just having him be like, oh yeah, he's the punk who like makes all this problem. Let's make him look like a punk. Let's make him look weak. It just seems kind of.
Yeah, no,
that's not even a major part of the show. I love how it's like
I know.
The thing where
well, we can talk about these two.
It's...
Like I think these two are pretty good in the film.
They're pretty fun.
Like they were probably my favorite part of the film. I mean the show.
It's all a movie. All shows are just movies.
Long movies.
But yeah, no, I remember I liked them a lot. I love their chemistry. I liked all the dwarf stuff. The only thing I thought was dumb is like at the end, basically Elrond is talking to his boss. He's like, "Are they making mithril?" He's like, "I'm not allowed to tell you." He goes, "Oh, so they are." No, I'm not allowed to say. Like there's this dumb stuff where it's like, did nobody read this and think about it before they filmed it?
Well, the fan service for like the Fairweather fans.
The elves are dying, so they need mithril to keep their immortality alive, and it's like, I mean, again, you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, this is definitely not what Tolkien had in mind in the slightest.
So
not only
simple.
Not that you need everything to be spelled out, but I don't really get why they even need mithril anyway. It's a clothing.
Well, and like the fan service. I'm tired of these. It's like kind of the Marvel thing. Marvel does it all the time. All the prequel movies that exist do this all the time, where everything's like they reveal something, and we're going to get into this with the War of the Rohirrim. Actually, they reveal something, and there's like this long pause where it's like, oh yeah, this is where everyone's going to clap and cheer in the theater. And they keep presenting things in that way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like let's say they're forging something and then the camera pans and then it shows Sting for a really long time. It's like, oh my gosh, that's Sting. This is the backstory of Sting. This is it. They just like keep doing that and everything right now.
Yeah.
And it just I think what irks me about it is it's always really like, I guess, Fairweather fan serving, where it's like people who don't really know the movie or like the lore will see it and get all hyped, but it's like really like, I don't know, it's hard for me to put my finger on it, but I'm kind of tired of everything doing this.
It's like, oh, like you're hyped, you remember because you recognize this, but this thing, the point of the thing is it's not a big deal. The point of like Bilbo's sword Sting is it's just a dagger, it's just a knife. He's a hobbit. That's why you use it. That's why it's interesting.
Right. Or like it'd be something like this. I think they did this in the show actually, where it's like, oh, I'll have to, who's this picture? And like, it's this person. And who's this? Oh, they did this in The Hobbit, I think, where they're like, that's my son, Gimli. And it's okay. I don't hate it in that movie, but things like that, where it's like, oh, Gimli, he's the one from the other film. Like people who don't really know the movies or don't know the lore. I don't know, it's just like servicing those people too much. I feel like, like there's a lot of subtle things in Lord of the Rings that nod to the book, but it's not just like blatantly obvious. I don't really have an example off the top of my head, but
it's crap.
Yes.
It's just showing how they got random things. It's like, this is how they got this shirt.
It's like cheap wins, I guess is what it feels like. It feels like a cheap win where it's like, oh, if we put in this fan service, even though the rest of the show is kind of lame, people like hearing the name of a character that they know from the movie.
And to get back to like the plot of this show, like it feels to me like a CW show because you got the Gandalf guy. And it looks like a really high budget CW show to me. Like the way like the characters look, the Gandalf guy kind of looks like Gandalf. It looks like the CW Gandalf that actually ends up being Gandalf. You got the CW hobbits that are kind of hobbits but kind of not. They're kind of nice, but they'll also like leave you to die if you go too slow. Like it's just like it's not. I don't have a problem with those things being part of the characters. It's just none of it feels real, I guess, for lack of a better word. It doesn't
feel like Lord of the Rings to me.
Yeah,
it feels like a fantasy show. It doesn't feel like the movies, because even though arguably the Hobbit movies are much worse, and I've actually defended the Hobbit movies quite a bit, but I did watch King Kong and then Hobbit 2 back to back, and it really kind of shed light on like, yeah, this film does have a lot of problems, but it still feels like the Lord of the Rings movies to me. But the Rings of Power, no, it just feels like a totally another, just a show, just like a fantasy show. Doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings.
You should on me. Maybe I'm
Do you
being too
guys
harsh,
think
but
there's any argument at all to move it to D tier? Because I don't know if I can do it.
Well, do we have to have something in Starlight Pit?
No, but I think it should be in Sarlacc Pit. I think it's just kind of slop.
Yeah, I mean, if something has to be there, it might as well be this. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Anything else about this one before we move on?
I might come back to it later when we get to some of the other ones, but we'll see.
Okay.
I'm happy leaving it where it is.
I just feel like I could keep ripping on it and being like complaining about things on it, but I don't really remember a lot of it because it's kind of forgettable. This one's tough. This is Battle of Five Armies. So, damn, dude, I do not want to put it in Sarlacc Pit, but I can't put it
At
very
this
high.
Point, well, so one thing, I think the beginning with Smaug,
Yes,
is really awesome.
Yes, it's badly placed though. I think.
Yeah, it should have been the end of the.
Well, I don't know, because then
movie.
there's no reason to watch the third movie because it ends. It's almost like the end of the story.
That's not the second movie's fault. That's their fault for pacing it.
Well, I know. Well, it's the studio's fault for forcing them to make it into 3 movies, I believe.
Yeah,
but see, here's the thing: I don't think you can make The Hobbit without it being 3. I thought about this a lot because, there's so much in The Hobbit in terms of events that happen that how else do you break it up?
Right. I don't think no one's making the argument that like they should have made 2 an extra 25 minutes longer and had this scene at the end of 2. But unfortunately it was like the scene was designed, filmed. It was like this was supposed to be the ending. But now it's the beginning.
I agree with you, Josh, 100%.
And it just doesn't quite work right.
Yeah, ironically, The Hobbit, I think, has more action sequences in Lord of the Rings than one Lord of the Rings book. It's actually very, very action-packed. It would be
the actual book,
really
the
crazy
Hobbit
to fit
book versus the Lord of the Rings book?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, like it's actually, like, it's huge. There's tons of stuff in it all the time.
I mean, you read the book and you're like, oh my gosh, you've got the party, you've got the trolls, you've got Rivendell, you've got goblins in the mountains, you've got riddles in the dark, you've got out of the frying pan into the fire, goblins.
The whole book is out of the frying pan into the fire every time.
Yeah, then you have the escape on the Eagles, you get to Bjorn's house, then you've got the whole Mirkwood thing, which is like
spiders,
which is like 3 parts, right? You got traveling through Mirkwood,
and the Hobbit's so good.
The elves, barrels out of bond, they're in Lake Town, then they got to get to the mount. I mean, it's just.
Then there's all the treasure stuff. Then there's all.
Then you've got Bilbo and Smaug you got to deal with, and then there's Smaug with Lake Town.
And there's the conflict after Smaug with all the treasure, and then
Battle of the Five Armies, and then by the way, and it's like, whoa,
it is a lot. I don't know how I would divide it up into 2 movies, but if I had control and I could go back in time and be like, here's how we fix these movies. It's unfortunate, but this is what I think we would have to do. Is they needed more time. I think they just didn't have enough time to figure out how to make it flow properly. And so, and you feel it.
Production on this movie.
Yeah, it's like Lord of the Rings. Like, so even in my own filmmaking stuff, like there's some projects I'm working on now, and I'll just think about it. I'll just kind of think about what I could do, come up with ideas, and things just start falling into place. Like, oh, I could do this scene here, or like, oh, I can make this a cliffhanger, and like things just sort of align themselves over time. And I think they had a lot of time to do that with Lord of the Rings, where they figured out, how do we make 2 towers flow? Oh, let's move this to Return of the King. Actually, let's change this scene with Return of the King where Frodo is like a crackhead and kicking Sam out of the party, and he's angry and he's vicious at Sam. Let's change that. Let's do the pickups and let's refilm this and make it more sentimental and a little bit more the way it is in the movie. Because originally that scene where he tells Sam to leave, he was like vicious. He was like, go home. He was like angry. And then it's like they're editing the film and they have all this time. And then they go, let's get the actors back in and let's reshoot this and change this the way it feels to make it better. They didn't have any time to do that on The Hobbit.
I don't know if I don't know. The extended features for The Hobbit are very not the same as Lord of the Rings. They don't really get super deep in anything. I don't know if they had pickups for Battle of Five Armies.
They probably officially did, but Michael, you'll probably find this interesting. Like Return of the King, it's like 50% of it was pickups, which means they edited like the whole movie, and then they went back and reshot things. A lot of it. They in the commentary, me and Josh watched the commentary on it, and they just kept saying, "Oh, this was a pickup. Oh yeah, we added this in. Oh yeah, we refilmed this." Like all of the Witch King stuff. The reason you see those two versions of the Witch King is because they filmed the entire movie with the Witch King looking one way. And then they went back and refilmed all those scenes and made him look a different way. That's why you have Aragorn fighting the troll at the end, because originally he was going to fight Sauron, and they couldn't do pickups for that, so then they made it a troll.
Yeah, it was.
And you have to have a lot of time to figure that stuff out, to figure out how to make that happen. So anyway, yeah.
Did either of you watch? Have either of you watched the extended versions of The Hobbit?
I
Yeah,
don't think so.
not a lot though.
I mean,
Maybe once.
Maybe one time.
So I remember, I distinctly remember watching Battle of Five Armies in the theaters and walking out, and my thought was that didn't feel like a finished film.
Yeah.
Now, I also remember, interestingly, Battle of Five Armies came out around Christmas in 2012 or 2010 or something like that.
Yeah, it was going to be a summer movie, and then they pushed it to December.
And then I remember, as the school year started, I wasn't seeing any commercials for it, and I don't think I saw commercials for it until November. Like there were no commercials for it, and then the commercials started coming out, but it was so close to the release of the film, it felt weird. And then I watched it in theater, and it was like, wow, like that just did not feel very good. So then when the extended versions came out, I watched the extended of Battle of Five Armies, and it's not a humongous improvement by any means, but watching that movie, I said, this feels a lot closer to the film Peter would have wanted to put in the theaters compared to what he had, what he did. And so like there was an element of like they cleaned up some scenes, or the CGI just looked a little bit better, or they added, like, for example, where in the world did the big goats come from in the theatrical release? Because there aren't any in the movie, and then there's 4 of them that they just start riding up to Ravenhill. And so you as the watcher are like, well, that's really cool, but on the other hand, you're like, wait, where did the goats come from? So then in the extended version, they show there's a massive dwarf cavalry charge of goat riders, which is hysterical and pretty epic. And you're like, okay, so that solves that problem. And there are chariots, and there's all kinds of stuff where you're just like, okay, that's better. Like that's good.
You can tell that in the Battle of Five Armies, they try to do a lot of things like they did with the Ents in Two Towers. Like when you watch the scene of the Ents fighting the orcs, they even said this in the behind the scenes. They basically, I think, went to their animators and were like, come up with a lot of creative ways that these Ents are killing the orcs. And they even came up with things like one of the Ents like bites the head off of an orc, like really wacky, crazy stuff. And then they picked the best ones and put those in the movie. And they are great. They're all good. Bonking the heads together, throwing the orc into the water, stomping on them. Like, it's all great. Pippin and Merry throwing the rocks at them. It's all great. With Battle of Five Armies, you can tell they're trying to do something like that again, where the clips are like almost like disjointed, really. They're not really that connected. It's just like, here's a cool scene, and they're all just screwed together. It works great in the Ent scene. I don't think it works very good in this movie, though. I think it was... You said you disagree?
I do agree. Yeah, I don't think it works good. I think at that point when I saw this movie,
they were trying to do stuff with it. Actually, really quick to make the point, they were doing stuff with like the wheels and the blades on the wheels and the goats, and then like the arrow propeller things that block all the arrows. And I don't know, it's like a little too
Legolas running up the.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we want to talk about the bad parts of the film, it's like Legolas running up the snow is really bad. At
this point,
Worm Tongue guy wearing the dress and like stealing the gold, I think, is stupid.
Oh yeah, the new Worm Tongue guy.
Yeah, it's so like, just, I don't know. It just makes me roll my eyes.
At this point, for me, I just watched it as if it was just a dumb, kind of the same thing that happened to me with Rise of Skywalker. I was like, this is just a dumb movie. I'm just gonna watch it as a dumb movie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it as like I was watching it as like Sharknado, and I had a great time.
So I think the reason the Battle of Five Armies deserves to be in D and not Sarlacc Pit. They do nail some really good. They do nail some really good.
Oh, are we about to disagree on something? I think we might be.
So, I really enjoy the dragon sickness.
Yes.
Bit.
Okay, we agree. Yes, I do. I love that too. The way it's like kind of like the ring, sort of. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Richard Armitage acts his butt off and really does a good job of. He carries a good chunk of the film with his acting, I think. The shot where he and Bilbo are talking and he starts going, "I won't part with not a single coin," and it's like the Smaug overlay is awesome. I love that. Him in the throne room with the gold floor and he's like getting swallowed up by it. And then
I like that it's like a disease, that he's like actually getting sick, and they talk about the dragon sickness, and I really like that angle. However, this is what I thought. We might still disagree on something. I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know how to describe it. It just like didn't hit the mark for me. I really wanted him to go after Bilbo when he learns that Bilbo gave away the treasure. And I wanted to see him like unhinged, like he's so stoic and like he's got all this presence. He's kind of like Aragorn in that sense. And I wanted to see almost like Boromir freaking out and going after Frodo with the ring kind of thing, where he just like totally unhinges. And I was sort of anticipating it. Maybe I ruined it for doing that, but it didn't do much for me when he finds out that Bilbo gave away the Arkenstone.
So what more would you have wanted him to do? I think we've talked about this before.
Isn't he about to throw him off the... Well, what happens in the movie? He's about to throw...
He does. Yeah, he's going
to throw him off the wall.
So as my memory recalls, Bilbo says, "I gave him the Arkenstone," and Thorin kind of go... like facial expression, he's like, "No, like the one guy that I thought I could trust is the guy who betrays me among all these people who he's really suspicious of." And then he starts calling him names. Bilbo calls him out, and he kind of has like that moment where the sickness wavers and then it snaps back into place, and he goes, "Throw him off the ramparts," and everyone's like, "No, all right, fine, I'll do it myself." And he like charge, and then he does. He rushes at him, he grabs him. And he's all, "I'll never trust you again," and I'll run it. And he's about to throw him off, and that's when Gandalf walks up and has the great Tolkien line: "If you do not like my burglar, then please don't damage him. Return him to me." So I'm curious what
I don't know. I guess kind of.
Do you want?
So I haven't really thought about like how I would change it. It just didn't quite hit the mark for me. You know, like certain things just like hit it right. I guess. I don't know, you know? I think, I don't know, maybe choking him and grabbing him and like,
I think it just doesn't feel like a big enough turning point.
Yeah,
where
like in the film, here, actually, I think I see where you're going, and I can, yeah, it's like, that I thought was going to be one of the biggest scenes in the whole movie, because I was like, well, what else is going to be a big scene? You know, it's like, because, you know, obviously Smaug dying is a big scene. Bilbo giving up the Arkenstone is like the treachery, like that's a huge scene. And then it's like the big battle at the end, but it was like that was kind of like this should be, I guess, huge. And it just felt sort of like it just sort of happened, I guess. But I don't know how I would fix it. I would have to think about that. Fix it, quote unquote. I mean, it's not necessarily broken, but it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, because like in the book, Bilbo's fully aware that he's keeping this from him. I don't remember if in the book
he knows how important that Arkenstone
like, he knows,
is.
Yeah, it's like a thing. He finds it and he's like, "Ooh, Thorin really wants this. Like, this is really important. This is the whole point of the whole mission." And in the movie, maybe it's just the way we forget about it. Maybe I just don't remember this movie very well. Maybe it's the way that they shot it. It just doesn't feel like it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again, and I could analyze it. Honestly, we could make that happen. Okay, so we could kind of go on and on about this one. What's up?
Mark that down. I'd be interested to go through that.
Yeah, Thorin. Yeah, okay.
But again, positives. I think the dragon sickness was good. I liked the Arkenstone giving away. I like the giving away of the Arkenstone. I did. It's very entertaining, and it's very.
I don't know if I'd say it's entertaining. Sorry to.
No. You will. Well, if you let me finish.
Okay.
The necromancer sequence near the beginning is entertaining. There are some things about it that are a bit janky. The wraith stuff is a bit over CGI'd, and that's a little hard. But it's like, okay, they're not the Black Riders. That would have been great if they could have been the Black Riders, but they weren't. So okay, fine. The Galadriel with like the sunken, and all of that. I recently watched a video where they were where some people were like, yeah, that's not really a great representation of her power, because you see that in the Fellowship, but it's because it's been corrupted by the ring, and the ring's not in play. So I was kind of like, oh, that's actually a fair point. So maybe take a point out of that. But I really enjoyed the sequence. I think Peter and the writers nailed it when they included Dol Guldur, the necromancer storyline, which technically is in The Hobbit. Tolkien just doesn't talk about it hardly at all. It's expanded upon in the Fellowship, I think, but I think they did a really good job of including that in the story, and that was fine. The battle itself, I mean, they changed it or adapted it for the film, and I don't know, like if I think about like the major battles in the Lord of the Rings in the Middle Earth canon of the 6 films, it's definitely bottom tier or near the bottom of like the quality battles, but it's also like, I don't know, like it's better than all the Rings of Power fights by far.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so what do you want us to do? Like, obviously the negatives with it, overly CGI'd. It's crazy how CGI it is.
Yeah, and they do this like bloom effect too. It just like, look at this. Let me see if I can open this.
Yeah, the whole movie looks too shiny.
Look at how bloom, like look at all the whites. Everything looks like it's like blooming, if that makes sense.
I
like
love the battle moose though.
Yeah, I do like that they did that.
Dude, the battle moose and the battle pig were just great little moments. Like, that's great.
Friends and I were freaking out at the battle moose,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I agree. It all looks just too shiny and weird.
You know what I mean by bloom? It's like a glowing around the light parts, like glowing.
Like, and that's
Ella Enchanted, Luke.
And that's a shot of the theatrical and not the because it's totally different in the extended version.
You said Ella Enchanted, the old movie?
Yeah,
like a scene.
Yeah, it feels like that to me.
Yeah,
maybe it's just how I remember
like
it. It feels like a
that kind of
Disney fairy tale movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Enchanted probably looks better.
I think D tier is probably best for Battle of Five Armies.
The colors, there's something with the colors. Everything looks like faded and like it's not terrible really, but I don't know.
It's not great.
I brought up this scene because I wanted to show something with this at some point, but if you look at like all these frames, it's like, look at that. What a great photo. Just this one shot here. And then it's like another good photo. Like, look at that. It's just like, it's partially probably the cameras they're using. I'm not going to spoil this, so I want to show you guys something in this clip when we get to Fellowship.
It's practical, which is incredible.
Yeah, it just looks like oops. There's just like shot after shot after shot that is, I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to that later. So yeah, D, I don't think there's really any excuse to put it in C. It's just not very good, unfortunately. I think they did the best they could, but they just were working with a bad set of scripts and stuff. So none of us saw this, but we can probably safely put it in there. I've seen parts of it, and I'm pretty sure season 2 is
the original one.
Yeah.
I've seen things with like the elf orc guy, and then like they did a lot of stuff with the orcs. It's just like, what is this? And then I've seen the action sequences and some of it, and it's just lacking. Like, it just feels like slop. I just don't like it. All right, so this is the one I'm curious to talk about quite a bit here. So Michael, you saw it a while ago. Josh saw it. I saw it. I don't know how to approach this though.
Let's watch this. Mostly because there's only very few movies. But dude, this movie was disappointing to me.
Okay, we're all on the same page then.
I feel like, yeah, I felt like I was putting a vibe that I love this movie. I just didn't want, I couldn't say anything, so I wanted you guys to watch it and have your own opinions. But the animation from the very beginning is not good. Like there's a aerial shot of her riding a horse, and the legs are just flailing everywhere. The story is pretty cool. I love like the way the drawings are, but there's like, it's just kind of like a long drawn out movie with a bunch of crap in it. There's a part where the main girl, who is not Eowyn, but is basically Eowyn's dad, becomes a superhero, and like
it's very I was talking. Weird. Josh and I talked about it a little bit, but I tried to save it for this. But it just felt more like Game of Thrones, kind of like the drama of it, where it's like, oh, I want to marry your daughter. Oh no, you can't marry her. Oh well, then the bloodlines will get the kingdoms, and oh, you accidentally killed him, so now we're at war. And then I didn't think that the main villain was very good. He just was like, oh, of course he's gonna trick them, and it's like, it's not smart to keep fighting. We're gonna keep fighting anyway. All right, I surrender, and I'm gonna trick you and try and stab you. It's just so. And then like even at the beginning, it was, aren't you gonna dress up, woman, for the thing? And she's like, isn't what I'm wearing fine? And she's like, oh, you have so much to learn. It's like, haven't we seen this 100 times? The girl who like has to wear a dress, who like wants to ride the horse and fight, and is like, I just feel like I've seen that 100, even just medieval movies, like over and over and over again. Josh said that it was a lot like there's quite a bit of lore that is correct, but I just kind of got nothing out of it. I just didn't really feel much through the whole thing, and yeah.
Good lore does not make a bad movie. I don't want to say it's bad. I think it's okay.
I think they did the best they could. I think it was just kind of like a B movie. It just wasn't like. The only reason anyone would watch it is because Lord of the Rings.
You'd find it on a VHS at like movie scene back when you were a kid, and you'd watch it like every day.
I do. That's exactly what I thought. My mom went through a phase where she got us really bad movies from Blockbuster, and we'd watch these cartoons from the 80s that were just like, what is this movie? It felt kind of like that.
It felt like Nausicaa. I don't know if you guys remember that. I think it's Studio Ghibli, where it's just kind of that. Maybe Nausicaa's good. I don't remember, but just like it's just cool. The art's cool. That's I don't know. That's it.
Yeah. Do you watch a lot of animated stuff, Mike?
Yeah, not a ton of anime, but a lot of animated.
Yeah. So, but if I said to you, like, I feel like animation, so not Japanese anime, because I feel like that hasn't changed in a million years, but like American-based animation is in a really weird place because growing up, everything was 2D draw style animation, and then they went to 3D animation, and now we're like in the Wild West where Netflix animation looks really funky sometimes, but it also really works, and then HBO is doing their own animation style, and it sometimes works and sometimes a little funky, and so there's no standard. So I agree with you that the animation threw me off at first, but then it was like, okay, but then for me, I was just kind of like, well, okay, like I'm just gonna roll with it because I've seen enough animated stuff where, Dragon Prince and K-pop Demon Hunters, and not that they're the same type of animation, but it's the same type of feel where you're watching it and you're just like, man, it's animated, but it doesn't. They're trying to do something in the animation that just feels weird that I'm trying to get my head wrapped around. So okay. A pro of being animated, I thought, was there were a lot of shots in the film that looked like they came straight out of the Alan Lee, John Howe art book, which was neat. I did like that.
It is awesome. Like that shot, like the style is incredible. It's beautiful. The problem I have with the animation, I love animation. I'm not one of those people who thinks animation is for kids. Like I think animation is a really awesome art form. But the problem is there's so many shots and scenes where the animation is so jittery and like weird. Like the very first scene, she's like riding a horse, and it's supposed to be like this epic like shot. It's like the first shot of the movie, and they couldn't even bother to figure out how to animate a horse running. Like it was just a bunch of stuff like that. Where people just moving weirdly. Their limbs were flinging around.
It is very anime to do stuff like that, where it's like
not like it, but it wasn't like a stylish way. It was like they didn't really do a good job. At least to me,
it's like the horse running is like 4 frames that just keep repeating.
No, it was like when they move around, his legs would shoot. It seemed like his legs would shoot out in like weird directions, like his legs were being broken. That kind of thing. That's the kind of stuff that I didn't like, at least. But that's not really the biggest deal. Animation glitches are fine. I just thought it was odd.
And I don't think it was a big budget either. That's why I can give them like props for like, well, I think they did the best with what they could.
Right.
But it's like the only reason a lot of people are going to watch it is because it's Lord of the Rings. But it didn't feel much like Lord of the Rings to me. Once again, similar to Rings of Power, it doesn't feel like I'm watching Lord of the Rings. It doesn't feel like I'm in the world of Lord of the Rings.
I was really excited
even with
about
the music, because the music is Lord of the Rings. It's from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no,
So the
not
budget
many
was $30
orcs.
million.
Okay, that's not.
Well,
That's relatively
good
substantial.
animation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy having it in D. I like having it in D because I would watch Battle of Five Armies before I watched.
Yeah, there was just
Hmm.
nothing that stood out to me. Now, the thing I wanted to bring up on this one that's like the fan service was, I think they mentioned both Gandalf and the Saruman scene, where it's like, oh, it's Saruman. Oh, because it's Isengard. And yep, here it is. It's Saruman. Remember him taking over Isengard? Remember your Isengard? And it's and then they mentioned Gandalf too, like, oh yes, many names or something, but the one you might know is just stuff like that, where it's like I think they're expecting everyone to start clapping here.
Where did they reference Gandalf? I forget.
I thought that at the end,
Either.
right?
So
Yeah, they did. They at the end, I wrote it in my notes. So yeah, something about, I don't remember what the line was, but it was something
Almost
like,
Stormcrow or something.
did they say something about Gandalf at the end?
So
I think her maybe. I don't really remember who it was.
So I won't comment on the Gandalf one because I just don't remember it. I don't think the Saruman bit was fan service at all.
But it was like, here's the backstory of how Saruman got Isengard.
But it's like I don't know. When I think of, I'm trying to think of it like a film or of something I've seen recently that had a bunch of fan service.
All the Marvel movies ever. All the Star Wars movies now. Every single Star Wars movie.
Oh, that's right.
Every single backstory. Everything's a backstory. Everything's like, oh, and here's how he got his name. Like when his name is Solo and Han Solo, oh, it's because he didn't have anyone with him. They just. And I'm not saying really quick. I'm not saying all those are bad. It's just like, dude, every single movie is doing this all the time.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that I appreciated the Saruman bit at the end, so it didn't bother.
I think it's okay to call things back that are in the main movies, and kind of like.
I think it's just too much of like a hinge point where it's like, maybe not in this one, but in a lot of it, it's like, is the battles good? No. Is the music good? No. Is the acting good? No. Is the story good? No. But we have fan service. When they see Sting, everyone's going to lose their mind because everyone knows what Sting is. Like they're just like they're relying on these things too much.
I didn't feel like this movie was relying on stuff like that.
No, I don't think it was either, really. But I was rolling my eyes at it,
they did mention some stuff.
What?
I think sometimes it happens in the movies in a dumb way, and you see it not in a dumb way in a movie, but you still like, not you, Luke, but the royal you. You still feel the dumbness because you're like, they're doing that thing everyone does. That sucks. So it's kind of a catch-22, stuff like that. Because it'd be weird if they didn't reference anything Lord of the Rings. You'd be if they didn't,
I don't know what I want them to do different. I just am tired of this kind of formula that so many things seem to be following.
I think a bigger weakness in this film was the storyline of her being the woman shackled and becoming a shield maiden, because that's like that very modern storyline, and it was just a very. So, and
it wasn't Eowyn. It's way more cliche.
So Eowyn's story is she wants to fight with the men because she's brave and she has something to prove. But she's not like in Helm's Deep. She's not stuck in Helm's Deep because you're a woman.
It's not like she was wearing armor and her brother comes up and is like, shouldn't you be wearing a dress? It's not like this, like, oh my gosh, what is this? Is so cliche.
She's in the glittering caves because if all else fails, someone left has to be able to protect the women and children.
Theoden to her. Remember when she's like, I can fight. And he's like, no, please just do this for me. It's not like, don't be ridiculous. You're a woman. This is no place.
Right. That's reading modern stuff into that. And they actually
why it feels like a 90s VHS tape movie.
Yeah, but they actually filmed a scene of her fighting in the glittering caves, like to make that point. And it's just they were just like, yeah, just too much at the end. We're gonna, we need to focus on Gandalf and all that stuff. But then in this film, it was shouldn't you be wearing a dress? And let's tell this myth of the shield maidens, which isn't a myth because the old lady who tells her about it is a shield maiden and fights the whole film. And so it's like, that doesn't, it just...
It's corny to me.
It's just disappointing.
Yeah.
It's just like, I was really excited for it. Maybe that's my fault. But also, I think it just, they didn't try hard, it feels like.
Yeah, or it just wasn't inspired. It just feels sort of like it was a movie that people just made. It didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they read the rights. Yeah, or like it wasn't like a script a lot of people believed in. It just feels sort of phoned in to me.
Yeah.
So, Hobbit 2.
Ooh.
Man, I don't know. I feel like I could put this one. It's not. I mean, man, this film is such a big can of worms.
Hobbit 2. I like the spider scene a lot.
And the fan service. So here's the thing. I don't mind the fan service when he says, Sting. That's what I'll call you. Sting.
Oh yeah, because this is a fan service. This is it.
And it doesn't have a name yet.
And
like that's how it gets its name.
Right. Yeah. And it didn't feel like it was being paraded around as this really big thing. It's just like a little line he says because that's like when he names the sword in the book. Yeah. And it wasn't like the whole scene doesn't bank on that. That's not a big part of the scene. The big part of that scene is him like fighting the spiders.
It doesn't like pause.
So like the scene with Saruman, I'm not really trying to critique it too much because it's all right. But like the scene with Saruman here is to like show Saruman. The scene with him fighting the spiders is not like, here, let's make a whole scene around like the backstory of why it's called Sting. It's like, well, it's in there, but it's not about that. It's like maybe that's part of it for me.
So I'm curious to hear. What are the weaknesses of Desolation?
There's the obvious ones that everyone would bring up, which is like the elf girl. People don't like her being in it, and the romance between her and the dwarf, which I actually, like I said, I rewatched the movie after watching a really good movie, and it is rough in places. But I thought, as corny as it is to have an elf and a dwarf falling in love, they still had enough of that Lord of the Rings charm to it that I thought it was all right, at least at points.
Okay.
I think it's also weird to have a sexy dwarf. They just look like a dude. Everyone else looks like a dwarf. He just looks like a dude. You know? He's got a regular nose, regular hair, regular face.
He looks like Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, he's just a sexy guy. Even his brother looks like a dwarf. Like he's the only sexy one. And
you know why they did that, to make it a little bit more plausible, I guess.
Exactly.
But I liked you know, I don't know how to describe it. You know when he's like, oh wait, that can't be her. She's so far away from me. As corny as that is, I do think it like kind of works in like kind of the romance of Lord of the Rings, like the poetry of it. I don't know how to take a stance on this though, so I'm gonna stop talking for a minute.
Okay, so the love triangle, Tauriel, what other weaknesses do you guys think?
CGI stuff is a bit much.
I don't like the White Dwarf stuff.
But like the barrel scene is a bit.
There's adding stuff. The barrel scene, nuts. I think it's fun. It just kind of goes out of place on the rest of the tone of the movie.
Yeah, and it's okay too. I remember when I watched this movie. So I didn't like the beginning very much. I thought the lines just felt very much like, here are the lines, kind of like the beginning of Hobbit 1, which we'll get into. But once they get to Mirkwood and they're tripping out in Mirkwood, love that. When he gets to the sunlight, love that. When he's fighting the spiders, love
this movie
that.
Or the first movie?
This one. He's fighting the spiders. Remember, they're in Mirkwood and they're like getting lost and they're like seeing double, and it's I love all that. When he pulls the we'll get to the first movie later, but they end.
Well, where does this one start? I guess I'm trying to remember.
This one starts with them running to Beorn's house.
No, this one starts in Bree.
Oh, that's right.
Which I don't like that scene very much.
Oh, that's one of my. Oh, all right.
You do like that scene?
On that, but go ahead.
I don't like it from a director standpoint. I just don't like the way that the scene was blocked and directed. I think it just doesn't quite flow properly. It's more of like an editor thing. So I just thought anyway. But so I don't love it. The whole beginning I thought was just kind of clunky. Even the bear stuff, I just thought it was all clunky, and I was like, oh boy, is this film not going to be that good? Like, where's this going to go? Then they get to Mirkwood. They get to Mirkwood, and I was like, oh, this is good. When he pulls the web and lets it go, and it goes, and it goes, oh, I love it. It gives me shivers. I love that so much. But, you know, I could go on and on and on about things I really love about it, because, like, Smaug, love Smaug. It's so good.
Well,
the Smaug scenes.
That's why I'm wanting to get. That's why I'm asking about the negatives, because I think there's a lot of really good things.
Actually, the first part of Smaug is good. The second part of Smaug, where they're fighting him, I think is not. It's just too. It goes too far. Where they like make the gold statue and it melts, and it's like that. I think they took it too far. That stuff.
You think that's a
it's like laughable.
Step too
yeah,
far.
sometimes he goes too far. And King Kong, he goes too far a few times, I think. But King Kong, you kind of have like, it's a monster movie. But
and what was your thing, Michael?
I also like all the White Dwarf stuff, the extra
White
stuff,
Dwarf
Radagast stuff. The White Dwarf is the main, and not White Dwarf. Sorry, the White Orc. There's a sorry.
They're all white. Michael.
Yeah, well, the main guy, the main orc guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
They add that. They have like I don't know if it's in this movie or if only it's in the first one, but like the council with like them talking about Sauron for no reason other than to just have a background adventure to tie it into like that's like the thing that's like, oh, remember the Lord of the Rings? This is like that. They talk about Sauron in this.
I don't remember the scene though.
That might be the first movie. I don't remember. It might be.
So the council part is the first movie. In the second film, you've got Gandalf goes to the Ringwraith's tomb, and then him and Dol Guldur, and he has the face-off with Azog briefly, and then he comes face to face with the necromancer, who then he names as Sauron because he's pinned against the wall, and you see the shadow of Sauron walking out of the flame, and then it becomes the eye and all of that.
Which I like that idea, but I didn't like that scene very much. I don't know how to describe it though. It's more the things I don't like about The Hobbit 2 and Hobbit 1 are more nitpicky. I've described it this way before. I'm gonna do it again. When you film a movie, usually, especially if it's one camera, you film one character saying their line 10 times. Then you film the other character saying their line 10 times. Then you go through all those takes and you take the two best takes of the two and you put them together, and then you get a really good dialogue scene because you got the best of both. With a lot of The Hobbit, especially all three of them really, but the beginning of the first two, it feels like it's like they filmed one take before the actors really got comfortable and were like really one with their lines or whatever, however you would describe it. And then they were like, yeah, that's good. Let's move on. They said the line, let's move on. And it just feels like something off with it with me. It's hard for me to describe though. Anyway.
I wonder if that might be because I know like in Hobbit 1, the opening party scene where they're all sitting around the table, Ian McKellen had to be in another room.
Yes, and it feels that way. If you watch his acting, it feels like he's acting to nobody, because he is.
There's some behind the scenes videos of him just like breaking down. Like,
I know,
this is crazy.
And you can. That's what I think you actually feel through the film when you watch those scenes. You can feel what he was feeling on set, where it's like, this is not going to be good. I can't act like this. It's not working. And they had to just run with it. But it feels that way to me. It feels disconnected. There's not the chemistry is missing.
I think also it's not their fault necessarily, but I think they could have done better maybe condensing the dwarves characters so that you can connect with the dwarves a little better. But that's just like a super nitpick. For me, it's just I think they just add a bunch of crap to stretch out the movies that don't even pan out. Like all the Sauron stuff has nothing to do with anything. And then
it's almost the opposite of Lord of the Rings, because with Lord of the Rings, they had so much stuff because they filmed like for 3 years straight or whatever it was, something crazy. And they just had all these scenes, and they had to go, we have to figure out what to cut. With The Hobbit, it's the opposite. Movie, they're like, we have to figure out what we can leave in and what we can add.
Exactly. Figure out what we can add is a good one, because it's like, what's the point? That's just how I feel about all three of them.
Yeah.
But I think it's better than Five Armies, though.
Absolutely,
Because
it's
Five Armies
better.
is mostly stupid fun. I would maybe move Five Armies down
Hobbit
to
2,
C.
I
but
think, is
this one
arguably
is
the
D.
best of the three.
Mm,
Oh, you're
It's
saying two's best of the three?
Yeah, I think so.
could be. I don't
And like
know.
the most entertaining, the most like, but it's got more flaws. Because here's the thing: 2 has Smaug, amazing. 1 has Riddles in the Dark, also amazing.
Amazing.
I think there's more things you can hate in the second one, like if you really wanted to.
I think 1 and 2, the extended versions of 1 and 2 really help flesh out some more of the story problems, or maybe some of the story. It's not problems and holes aren't the wrong words, but they flesh out some more. So, like, Luke, you're saying that you don't like the opening Bree scene in
Not for like logically this shouldn't be in here, or like this dialogue doesn't make sense. I just thought it was clunky. I didn't really like the way that they. It's like a good joke that you tell badly. It just feels like that. It just wasn't really like done very well.
So, as a person who loves exposition scenes, which is very strange to admit, but I do. The extended version of the Bree scene in Desolation of Smaug hits really strong for me, because it's I don't know if I would have described the theatrical version as clunky, but when you watch the extended version and you see it, to me, I was like, oh, that fits better. Like that feels more. It just hits a little bit better, because and it's hard to describe why, but it just does because Gandalf sits down and he asks about, why are you here? Well, I'm looking for my dad. And in theatrical release, it cuts almost immediately. It cuts to, well, you know your dad's dead, right? And he's like, oh, I don't think he is. But then it's kind of out of place because he's never mentioned again. Well, in the extended version, Gandalf goes, oh yeah, your dad. And then there's this whole extra 3-4 minutes of their dialoguing about his dad. There's a flashback to the Battle of Moria. There's an extra scene in that battle where Thrain and Thorin have a small conversation, and kind of and so then when Gandalf says, "Hey, man, you know it's been decades since anybody saw your dad," that hits better after that explanation.
Yeah,
and then the rest of the conversation flows so much better because they've established
it's a good point. It's a good point, and I think this shows like the differences in how you and I kind of watch it, because I didn't really pick up on that. I'd be curious to go back and check that. I think I'm thinking more from a like, how would I edit this scene? Because you could have a scene where it's paced a certain way, certain lines take longer to get through, certain moments have like a look where it's like no one's saying anything, there's no dialogue. I'm thinking more like that, less like story-wise. But that's interesting. I have to rewatch the extended for that. You and I need to watch these films together. Like 3 of us should watch all 3 of these films together.
Because I like how the scene ends where they say, oh, we got to get the stone to get the thing, to get the whatever, and how are we going to do that? Which is why we're going to need a burglar. And then it cuts to Bilbo, his head popping up out of the trees because he's looking to see where the orcs are. And you're like, ah! And so then you feel like you've been caught up to where you're supposed to be. Oh, yes, this is where we are. And Bilbo's established himself. He's one of the crew now. And then they're going along. So I think that worked out rather well. I think the problem, I'm going to agree with you guys on a couple things. Because I wrote it down because I wondered if I was higher on the movie than you guys were. So that's why I asked the negatives. I think a problem that we've hit on with Battle of Five Armies, and we're going to hit on again with this film, and we're going to hit on again with Unexpected Party, the overuse of CGI comes across pretty heavily. Yeah. So the barrel scene is a bit rough, where it's okay. It's not this way in Battle of Five Armies. Battle of Five Armies, even the extended edition, there are moments of CGI where you just cringe and you're just like without any excitement, there's cringe. You're just like
Legolas running up the rocks.
Yeah, like that's not very good. In this film, there are moments of CGI where there's a hint of cringe, but it's tag teamed with a level of like that's like Legolas running on top of the heads of the dwarves.
Yes, good. I like that.
Slightly cringe, but also you laugh because you're like, oh yeah, like that fits.
So to tack onto this, okay, so this is the first movie. So the scene where they're fighting the goblins does this. The barrel scene does this. The scene where they're fighting Smaug does this. They all do the same sort of thing. Okay, I think it's what you're talking about. Remember in the goblin scene in the first one when they're like riding the scaffolding down the mountain?
Yeah. Compare
that to Fellowship of the Ring when they ride the rock, when the rock is breaking the pillar and they like ride. Like, so compare the two. One is like, okay, this is like kind of getting too ridiculous. And then with Smaug, where they're like riding the chains and they're in the wheelbarrow going through the gold, and he's like they're like jumping off of cliffs and like pushing the big fan to like make the fire bigger. It's just like it gets like cartoonish almost. And Peter Jackson, this is where like I think he goes too far. And in The Hobbit, he keeps doing that like way more, where it's like it kind of gets, my suspension of disbelief is like, this is getting a little like. You guys feel me on this or no?
I'm with you. To me, it's just a feeling. I think
it's like they should have died doing right. This is crazy that they're like riding the scaffolding down this 500-foot cliff, but they survive because it happens to get caught and locked in and slows down. It's like Fast and Furious kind of absurdity.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool if the whole movie was like that, but I think it kind of comes out of nowhere. But I also think we should probably move on to the next one because a lot of these things are.
I know, dude. We go on forever about these.
We also need to think we can get through this in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
About
Fool of a
first three in that long.
Should we do Hobbit now instead of going to these two?
Yeah, let's do Hobbit real quick.
So
I think the beginning is perfect. The birthday party and the unexpected party and stuff. Awesome. Rest of the movie, I don't like it that much.
Wait, you're the opposite of me. You like the beginning, but not the rest of the movie?
Yep.
I don't like the beginning, and I like the rest of the movie.
The beginning is, maybe it's just because I read the book. The beginning is straight out of the book.
I know, but I sometimes find that kind of boring when I felt like Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was like that, where they just like, oh yeah, it's all the lines from the books exactly. And
this is the curiosity with The Hobbit. The Hobbit was written before The Lord of the Rings. It was written for kids, and Tolkien rewrote it. The version we have is the version we have is the rewritten version, and even then,
I did not know that.
There's not. So, the reason that The Hobbit is so weird is it's very childish until Smaug dies, and then it like gets super dark for 2 or 3 chapters, and Tolkien, who famously takes 10 pages to describe a tree, is suddenly like, the armies gathered, the armies faced off, the armies fought. It was very terrible. The battle's over. Bilbo goes home, and he's rich, and he gets fat, and he gets old, and he's got this trinket in his pocket. Yeah. And it's because at that point he was writing Lord of the Rings, and he's trying to tie them together. And he's like, oh, yeah, here it is. Which is why a lot of the appendices and the Lord of the Rings kind of expositional content is used in the films. And I think it's brilliant because it's all there lurking beneath the surface. But when you're Peter Jackson trying to tell this story, if you just told the story from the book and use no other supplemental material, it would be very not Lord of the Rings. So his job was to adapt The Hobbit in a way that it matches or runs with the Lord of the Rings, which he's already done. So a lot of the stuff that I think, Mike, you said that you don't like, which is the White Council, talking about Sauron, the Necromancer, the Dol Guldur stuff, Sauron's trying to recruit an army through Azog and all that stuff. And I've got some qualms about that stuff more from a more as a Tolkien nerd than anything else, or just questions as to why they made certain decisions. But I love that they have it in the film because, in a way, it's kind of like the Star Wars prequels. If you were to watch the 3 Hobbit films and then the 3 Lord of the Rings films, you would feel like this is the story of the ring, how the ring was found, and sort of the adventure that happened around it. And then you would hit Fellowship of the Ring, and you as the watcher / the reader, when you read the books, you go, I'm still in the same world, and it works really, really, really well. As an individual film, I like Where You Have It, Luke. I think it's B tier, right underneath Desolation, because Desolation has more excitement and more action, and not action as in fighting, but just there's a lot of traveling in The Hobbit and in the first Hobbit, and it's the stakes are kind of lower because they had to kind of build in Bilbo getting excited about going on the quest and actually going, because in the book,
which actually I do love that scene, just to throw that out there. He's I'm going really on an adventure. I love that. I think that's so perfect for like a Tolkien kind of moment.
I think that Martin Freeman is perfect casting for Bilbo.
He is, yeah, agreed.
Which I didn't feel that way when I watched it at first. I feel that way now. I do like him now.
So with Hobbit 1, we love Riddles in the Dark. It's like it's perfect. It's like a perfect scene. It's an amazing scene. I have this picture here. This shot when Gollum comes up over the rocks and the camera's coming down, he like looks up. Oh, it's amazing. And like the whole pacing of that scene, the way they did the jokes, the way they did the timing, everything is snappy and great. It's like music, that scene. It's so good. The ending with I'm going to talk about just, I guess, some of the things I really like. I really like the narrative, or like the sort of the idea that Bilbo is a terrified, bumbling person who like wants to have his tea, and doesn't want to go on an adventure, but he's got that toque in him. And when he sees Thorin's about to get killed by the white orc, then the bravery comes. Like his bravery comes from I care more about protecting my friends, because all the other fight scenes he's like pulling away, he's fighting really clunky, he's like kind of bumbling and clumsy, but then as soon as Thorin's in danger, he's like, but I gotta save Thorin, and he like runs down there, and he still doesn't really know how to use his sword, but he's so like he gets all this bravery. So I really like that being kind of an ending part of that film, because technically out of the frying pan into the fire scene, that chapter of the book, I think that's actually the title of the chapter. Okay. So that, even though it's kind of an odd place to end the movie, because that's kind of where it ends, I think they did a good job of integrating that narrative into that scene to make it a finale. But I do think that's kind of one of the tough parts about this film, is it kind of ends in the middle of the book, and it's not like a big battle scene or something, like Fellowship of the Ring ends with the battle where Boromir dies, and Two Towers ends at Helm's Deep, and then Return of the King ends in the big finale battle at the end. Like The Hobbit doesn't have that in the middle of the book, but I think they did the best they could with that scene.
They also changed stuff, and I gotta go kind of fast. I got like 20 more minutes, but I don't think they also changed stuff for no reason. Like, so in the scene with the trolls, the way that they resolve it is basically Bilbo kind of stalls them for as long as he can. He doesn't have a plan. Gandalf comes and starts like throwing his voice and making them argue against each other, because they think that he's them talking. But in the movie, he just breaks a rock and the sun shines on them, and then they just like freeze in argumentative stances for no reason. It's stuff like that just bothers me. But there is good stuff. There's good stuff, but it's just like they make changes that undercut the point of the scenes.
So I get what you're saying there. The weird thing in the book is...
Actually, Josh, could you pause for 1 second? It sounds like what with Michael, what you're saying is, in the Fellowship, you see the trolls like pointing at the ground, like he's like, no, I found him first. It literally looks like they're arguing. And then you watch this movie, you watch The Hobbit, and they're like
Standing
they
that
just
for no
kind of
reason.
move. They just move into the same position, but it doesn't
Yeah.
really make as much sense now.
Yeah. And the scene in the book that they adapted
They
makes
changed it.
them
Right.
be safe in that position. And like there was no reason to change it. Like some let's say they didn't want to do it. Like Gandalf breaking the rock isn't better or cooler in any way. Like it's just so less. It feels like they just are like crap. We got to finish this scene. We got like 5 minutes to go. Just do that. Bye.
Or it's more visually
Yeah.
exciting. So, but Josh, you were going to say something. I just wanted to interject that really
I
quick.
think that's a fair criticism, Mike. I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to make Bilbo they were trying to make him a more prominent character with a more prominent role to play. Because in the book,
Fair, but Bilbo did the exact same thing in the book and the movie in that scene. The only difference is Gandalf smashed.
no, he doesn't actually. In
What
the
does he
book,
do? Maybe I misremember the movie.
so in the book, the trolls collect everybody, and Gandalf's the one who comes to the rescue. Period. Bilbo doesn't do anything. And sorry, I know we're short on time.
I know. I'm
In
trying
the
to figure out how
book-
we're going to do this.
Like in the book, Gandalf saves them from the trolls, from the goblins, and out of the frying pan into the fire. And then he leaves. And everyone's like, oh my God, what are we going to do without our wizard? And that's when Bilbo steps up, and he's the one who saves them.
Yeah, but they could have had Bilbo. They could have had Bilbo do the voice throwing thing. They basically just ended it with like, oh, he got saved by the nick of time anyway. It's just,
I wonder if they visually didn't know how to communicate that. Oh, he made them argue for so long that the sun came up. I don't know. Maybe they thought that wouldn't translate to screen well. And so they were like, oh, we need to break the rock so the sun suddenly comes up and then the light turns them to stone.
I mean, they could have at least argued for like 30 seconds before the light came up. And
Would it be like a little bit of sliver of light that just hits them on the top of their forehead and then they all turn to stone instantly? Like, I can kind of see like the filmmaking aspect of like, yes, this is how it is in the book, but how do we visually show this so that it's obvious what's happening? I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just trying to think of like why they could have done that.
And like I said, Mike, like what you're saying, I get it, and it's fair. The other point I'd say is the Bilbo that they have in the movie, at least in the first one, is a reluctant adventuring Bilbo, where in the book, even like in the book, he's ready to go almost from the word go. Like he has a very small moment of fear, and then he's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to go." Whereas in the book, okay, he runs, I'm going on an adventure, but then almost immediately he's, where's my handkerchief? Where's my tea? Where's my comforts from home? And then he leaves. He wants to leave,
right?
Which never happens in the book. And so it was the Bilbo they made was a reluctant tag along who had to realize that I'm here for a reason and I want to be here. And that was part of the journey they had to put him on. Was that
that's not what I have a problem with.
Hero.
I think it's just there's scenes like this where they're doing what you're saying, but they're doing it poorly. I don't have a problem with the motivation that you're saying they had, but what I think they probably could have thought for an extra 15 minutes to come up with a better way to do that. So there's some things where you ever watch a movie and you can predict what's going to happen, not because you're so smart, it's because you just the first thing you think of, you just say that's going to happen, and that's what happens. Sometimes there's things like that where
they could have given it more thought and done it different than what they chose.
It just feels like they settled on something simple. Because I get what you're saying, Josh. That makes sense, and that is kind of what happens here. But then, in the end of the day, Bilbo doesn't actually save the day in that scene anyway. Like it would have been better if they had just not done that at all. And well, except for the statues in Fellowship, but it didn't actually do what they apparently set out to do. But anyway, we got 2 more movies to go.
Yeah, so I did want to say one last thing about The Hobbit. I really like this random scene between Bilbo and, forget his name, it's one of the dwarf with the little ears on his hat, when he's going to leave. Yeah. I like that those little heartfelt moments that it's like really small, but where he kind of snaps and it's like, you don't know what it's like. You guys like don't have a home. You don't belong anywhere. And it kind of hits the dwarf in the heart. And then Bilbo realizes like, oh yeah, like I am the one with the home. And they don't have it. And then they bring that back at the end. So I like those kind of things that they did. I feel like that was much more like the other Lord of the Rings, where they created kind of more cinematic narratives that I think serve the film well. So, all right. So we agree. Let's go fast. So we agree that all 3 of these should be an S tier. I would love to just gush and talk about all the things I love about these movies. I actually really want to do that, but for the sake of time, love these movies. I think Return of the
King. Do you want to pause and like just do another video like tomorrow of us talking about these two, so we can have it all in one video?
Not really.
Okay, let's go in.
Let's just go as fast as we can go on this. We can expand this and make other videos out of this probably. So, but I was just gonna say, how do I make this fast though? I mean, I love so many things about Return of the King. I think Return of the King is probably one of the best, biggest finales of all trilogies of all time. The music, the excitement, the stakes, the build up. It's just like everything about it is just like the biggest, making it probably one of the best films I've ever seen. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time. I obviously love things about Two Towers, and I love things about Fellowship. But I think if I was going to do it, I would have to do that. We can debate this, but I just want to get it out there. That's what I think I would do.
Oh, so you put Two Towers in A and Return of the King?
I think so. Because I know I've talked about saying Two Towers might be the best, but I go back and forth on that these days. I'm not really sure. I just think that in some of the flaws of this movie, I just think it's like the most epic movie of all time. It's just such a big, huge, epic, amazing finale of everything. It's like the gold standard of an ending to a trilogy from all the movies I've ever seen.
I'm slightly different. I think I would do Two Towers as S, and then I would do maybe it's just because whenever I watch them, I always watch them 1 through 3, and I've seen 1 and 2 the most just because of time. I feel like I would do Two Towers, Fellowship, and then Return of the King. So I think Fellowship has really great moments, like really great character moments. The Mines of Moria are awesome.
Yeah.
There's just such the Boromir scene is so good and heart-wrenching.
It is.
Not that Return of the King isn't good, but I feel like there's just such incredible character moments in Fellowship.
Well, like the ending of Return of the King when Frodo's about to fall in the lava and then Sam is reaching down, and then when Frodo gives up and Sam carries him up to Mordor. There's just so many.
I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. I cry.
So great. It's just so emotional and huge. It's just larger than life. Huge. That's why it's so hard for me to be like, there's just so many scenes back to back to back in Return of the King that are just monumentous, huge. Josh, what do you think?
I don't want to put any of them in A.
I know.
So I think
all S tier to clarify.
I know.
Yeah. So the fandom in us, we're trying to challenge ourselves. Okay, if all 3 are S tier and we have to move 2 down, I think the obvious first one to move down to A is Fellowship.
Agreed.
Just because.
I feel like they didn't quite. They knew what they were doing, but it was almost like, all right, we're making this movie, and then it was like, okay, this works. Now let's make an even better one. But
also just what the content you're working with. Like, there's no massive battle. There's no
ramping up.
There's a lot. To be
clear, battles don't like. We love battles, obviously the 3 of us. But just to say this, like a battle doesn't make a movie good. But it's like the substance of this is a lot. Like in terms of adventure movies, these ones just have so much more action and adventures and big, memorable spectacle battles and stuff.
The first film is a slow burn. It's a good slow burn, but it's a slow burn. The Two Towers is a steady burn with a nice big flare up at the end. And Return of the King is a bonfire.
Yeah.
Almost from the word go. Like it's like
it's such a huge movie.
Return of the King is a bonfire started with kerosene. Because once it's lit, it goes. And you're just like, wow.
It's also like it's like in terms of scale, like the scale does ramp up where the scale of this movie is absurd. And they killed it. That's what makes it crazy. Because some movies it'd be like, oh, this is a low budget film where they had one camera and they just had everyone in a room and everyone had regular clothes on. We don't need any costume people. We don't need any CGI. We don't need any special effects. We don't need any makeup because it's a low budget film. And then they kill it. And it's like, yeah, but it's still a low budget film. This is like everything is the highest extent you could, the effects, tons of effects shots, practical effects shots, big finale. It needs to tie up a giant story. It needs to be a big finale. It's like, man, how can you not bite off more than you can chew with this film? But they still nailed it.
And you know what's crazy about all three of these movies that's kind of funny to me? The movies are absurdly long. They have so much content in them. And the number one drawback in all three films is, well, why didn't you include this? Why didn't you include
Opposite
this?
problem with The Hobbit.
Why didn't you make it longer? And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, how?
We've got 4 hour long extended edition cuts, and we're like,
Yeah.
hey, can we get some more of that Lord of the Rings, please?
Yeah, can we get some more? Can you just add everything?
It's like, what do you want from us?
Yeah, it's impressive too that they were able to take all this stuff and make them into 3 movies that never feel slow. At least not to me. Like I never feel like they're overstaying their welcome with any scene.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably do that. I mean, Two Towers and Return of the King are pretty interchangeable for me, but
Definitely Fellowship in any.
I think your argument, Luke, is compelling to me. I'll have Return of the King in S. And
It's a tough
Two
one.
Towers.
My childhood, I loved Two Towers.
Yeah.
I loved
I
many things
I
about
could
that
put Return
movie.
of the King. I could put Return in S if you guys want that, as long as we have Two Towers at the top of A.
And not to discredit Fellowship, because I love the Fellowship also.
Right.
Moria, the ending scene, and like all these. Oh, I mean, Fellowship is what got me. Here's
Just
the
the
thing.
shot
I
of,
liked
the ring and the
Fellowship,
snow.
but I loved Two Towers. Two Towers was when I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I love these films. And then I went back and watched Fellowship again. I was like, oh, I really like this too. But Two Towers does have a real special place in my heart.
Oh yeah,
Man, I could geek out so much about these 3. They're just so good, man.
we should do a video of us just talking about these 3 movies. I don't think anyone would like it, but we'd have a lot to say.
It's for us. And so Luke can practice streaming things, and
Sure.
it's literally not for anybody else. This is really funny. One of our Marvel movies, I think, there was a guy who wrote a book in the comments just ripping us for being bad.
Oh, really? Heck yeah.
Yep.
And he's like,
We've entered that
why
stage.
would you publish this? And I just read it with a smile, and I was like, yeah, because this isn't for you. This isn't for you. This is for us having a time. And it's like, whatever, go away.
Well, and I'm not gonna like, in general, it's like, these are what my opinions are.
Yeah.
I do a disservice to like pretending like it's not my opinion. Like, why would I do that? That makes no sense. It's like plenty of people will disagree with like 100 things I said in this whole episode, I'm sure. But it's like, yeah, but this is what I think. So, I mean, what else do you want from me, or from all 3 of us? Really, that's the point of this video. This is our opinions.
I think Luke, if we were really quickly, because I think Mike's got to go and I got to go. If we were to try to make this staggered, like super staggered, like a house or whatever, like you wanted to do, I think what you would, well, there's not enough, unfortunately. I think what you would have to do, C would probably need to be the bottom.
Let's just do this. For now. We'll just get rid of Sarlacc Pit.
Yeah. What if we did next time? Every level.
What if we do this?
I won.
Let's do this. Let's just get it all to C like this, because then it's easier to get like a tower.
But then I'd be, well.
We need more movies. We need more Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we need more Lord of the
Dude,
Rings.
I cannot put Fellowship in the same level as Hobbit. I can't do it. It's
No,
impossible.
you can't do that. That's.
I just can't do it. It's just not right.
Battle of 5 Armies to be just like for the build of it, like that.
No, I can't do it. This still meets the criteria. It can't go like. It can't go up and down. It goes just down.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So this does work.
Because interestingly, I'm not arguing that Battle of 5 Armies is like a solid C, but like a C minus, potentially. I'm happy having it in D, like where we had it before, but like if you really wanted to give it like a little bit of a weird.
I just can't do it, dude. I just don't think there's much in this film that's worth remembering. I was so heartbroken when I realized that when I left the theater, that I was like, yeah, the first bad Lord of the Rings movie. Because So
Yeah, the Hobbit. Yeah.
So to not end on that negative note, though, all three are great. We could geek out about these a lot. Honestly, we could pull up some scenes too and talk about some of the things we disagreed on. Like we could do some of the stuff with the Hobbit. I'm down to pull up some of those scenes and at least air out what it is I think doesn't sit right, and hear you guys out on what you liked, vice versa. We could do a lot of different things. We could basically take this video and deep dive into some of the things we brought up.
A new streaming series and we'll come up with a fun title, but it would just be us geeking out about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about it for a long time. So, all right. Any closing remarks before we wrap this up?
This is good. You should watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just reaffirms how much we like these films and not these ones so much.
They are some of the best movies of all time.
I think they are. I do think it's probably the ultimate trilogy, Lord of the Rings, from every standpoint. So, all right, yeah, incredible. Lord of the Rings is great. Love it. The end.
That's it. Rings of Power sucks balls.